have a few more dollars in my pocket right now. Mary Jo, when I was really sick and I was unconscious for about 3 weeks, had put a little journal outside of the ICU room for anybody, for family and friends that wanted to put down their thoughts in the hopes that someday that I would be able to read this book back. And my daughter wrote me a beautiful letter, and I just want to take one moment, if I could, and just read a little excerpt from this journal. It still kind of tugs at my heart today. And it says, "You are not just my father, but you are also one of my very best friends. We have been down many roads together, not always good, but we walked them together. I hope to walk down many more with you, because I cannot imagine a world where my dad does not exist. We have so much more to share together, so fight hard, be strong, and at the end of this road, I will be there with a smile, ready to hold your hand. I love you, Jennifer." You know, Mary Jo and I met on an internet dating site. And, you know, I often think if I could write that profile right now and it would say, "Good-looking guy, 4'10", 125 pounds, missing 2 legs and an arm." Now, how long do you think she might have stayed on that profile? You know, she told me I was pretty lucky that she loved me before this happened. I had some pretty cool drug stories when I was unconscious for 3 weeks. And, you know, I saw rats, and I saw snakes, and I saw dust billowing out of the air conditioning unit. And I remember seeing a doctor with his face was up on the ceiling, and there was a big hole in his head. And I remember, oh gosh, what did I remember? I remember the Italian Mafia. I don't know why it was Italian Mafia, but they were chasing me going from train to train to train, and they were trying to stab my eyes out with a ballpoint pen. And you know, the surgeons told me later that all they had really done was just put some eye drops in my eyes. I know one day that Ron Gray, my boss, came to see me, and I had gotten quite a little potty mouth when I was on this morphine stuff. And he came in, and I saw a bottle of water over to the side, and I said, Ron, I said, "Give me that bottle of water." And he said, "Well, I don't know, Bryan." I said, "I gotta have to go ask the nurse to see if that's okay." And I said, "Ron, if you don't give me that bleeping water, I'm gonna break your bleeping arm." And it wasn't bleeping what I used. And you know, I got so upset with the surgeons at the hospital, and I really don't know why. We called a family meeting one day, and we had members of my family, and a couple nurses, and a couple surgeons there, and I looked right at the surgeons in their eyes, and I said, "We need to get more professionalism out of this group. And we'll no longer tolerate waking up at Cozy's Bar and Grill after every surgery." And they kind of just halfway smiled and went along with it. And said, "Don't worry, Mr. Courier, we'll have you in your bed after your next surgery." So at this point, Mary Jo created, oh, she's so wonderful with all the technical stuff. She created a blog, and I had so many people write me. It was such an outpouring of support. You know, it was Brockville P&G, Cincinnati P&G, all the folks here, and it was amazing. I can remember her coming in every morning, and I'd just say, "Hey, who wrote me? Come on, please read me what you've got." And there were so many emails, so it kept me, it kept me alive and so full of strength, and I just enjoyed it so much. So my stay at KGH was for a little over 2 months, and I just want to thank every one of you for the support that I got, and to all the doctors and the nurses and the surgeons at KGH. I simply owe them my life. So now it's off to St. Mary's, and it's a rehab hospital, and it's just 2 or 3 kilometers away from KGH, and I was so excited, And we got there in 2 or 3 hours after we got registered. They gave us a wheelchair, and Mary Jo, I remember she took me for a little tour of the hospital, and we got down to the physio room where they had all the desks and the equipment to get you better and all the weights. And we went out in the hallway, and there's a little pool that I looked at, and all of a sudden it just hit me. It was my first breakdown, and I just started crying. And I put my head in her lap, and I said, I don't know if I can do this anymore, and I'm scared, I'm alone, and I don't feel like anybody's inspiration at this point. And she said to me, don't worry, tomorrow will come, and it'll be a new day, and everything will be better. And again, she was bang on. So over the next month, I got all my prosthetics. First got my left arm, and then I got my right leg, and then I got the real animal of a prosthetic, which was my left leg. And I could remember that we named all my limbs just so we knew which prosthetic that we were talking about. And another one of my drug stories, I saw this little Mexican guy, and he was singing to me, and I called him Pedro, so we called this our Pedro. And I don't know why that we called my right leg Pepe, but that's what they got. And then I remember that my left leg was something like right out of Star Wars, so we called it C-3PO. Now, here's a fact that no one in this room knows. There are male and there are female prosthetics. C-3PO wouldn't follow directions, was stubborn, and was very non-responsive. The female prosthetic. Sorry. So I started doing physio every day from Monday to Friday in the mornings for about an hour and a half. And in physio, they get your body moving and get it stronger. So anything that's weak, they start working on strengthening it up. And in the afternoon, I would do what we call OT, or occupational therapy. And in occupational therapy, you learn how to live life. You learn how to transfer from a chair to a bed. You learn how to start dressing yourself again. You learn how to start eating and things like that. And at that point, too, we started to have fundraisers. Now, the first fundraiser was a golf tournament that was very successful, and I even managed to squeeze in a wedding proposal to Mary Jo, and she said yes, and the wedding is next June. We had a bocce ball tournament at my sister's house. We had a spinning class at the YMCA in Belleville. We had a group in Frankfurt that I didn't even know had a fundraiser that gave me a large sum of money, and at that time we opened up a trust account. And just so people know, the money in the trust fund, and before I forget, so many people in this room had given me money and gifts, and it was all so, I was just so thankful in getting it all. Now, the money in the trust account, we have a branch of OHIP called ADP, and we also have our Sun Life insurance that kicks in money for prosthetics and wheelchairs, but what is not always covered is if you need vehicle modifications, if you need home renovations. Sometimes ramps are not covered, lifts for in your house. So I think right now, I think some of my bills are about $120,000. So you kind of get the impression of where this money in the trust fund goes. I remember Mike Bennett's daughter, Mackenzie, age 10, one day came to visit me at the hospital with her mom, and she brought me a present, and it was a little stuffed lion. And I said to her, Mackenzie, what should we name this lion? And she said to me, I think we should name it Courage, because I think that's what you have. And I remember that being so touching coming